You are listening to the Centaku Media podcast, a source for sharing interests beyond the scope of anime because we're in the center of other otaku interests. Hey everyone, this is Hanjo Chan, your host of the Centaku Media podcast, and you're listening to episode 10 of the Centaku Media Journal. Thank you for tuning in, and also thank you for being patient because I know for the last few episodes I've been getting these episodes out late, and I think that's because I'm putting too much on my plate, and right now I'm working on some outside projects. Of course, outside from Centaku Media, but like that will change very soon as I am actually going to go through a little bit of changes for this podcast since we are on episode 10. And I normally do these intros at least 10 minutes long so that way I can talk about what I'm going to go through, but I'm just going to keep it short and simple. So I hope everyone's doing okay. It's October, or will be October depending on when this comes out. So yeah, so this episode may not be late, so very likely be late. But so yes, hope everyone's doing okay. And one of the things I did want to touch on is that since we are on episode 10 of the Centaku Media Journal, I have decided to do a season finale very soon. So like with every TV show or radio show, of course, there has to be a break in between episodes. So I already took a mid-season break back in July or August, I forget. I think it was August. Yes, August. So I came back in September. Of course, that episode was late, but I thought that would help, but it didn't. But I had some other stuff going on in real life that, I couldn't avoid. So that's why I'm been struggling lately. But it's a lot better now, but also working on other things. So that's another reason why I'm putting out things out so late. And also, this is the week of double episodes. So we have our September episode, which I'll be talking about the Tokyo Game Show for the September episode. And of course, there's this episode you're listening to right now. And for those that are just tuning in, we'll talk about news from the world's anime, gaming, and entertainment. And of course, with Tokyo Game Show, the biggest event of the year, at least around this time of the year, it's just not enough time to talk about it. Well, there's plenty of time to talk about it, but I decided to split it up so that way it'll be easy to digest for everyone. So be sure to listen to that after you listen to this episode. But anyway, I think around, or rather at episode 12, I will be calling it quits for the first season. Not calling it quits in general. I should have, worded that better. But basically, it's going to be a season finale. So after episode 12, that will be it for 2020 for new episodes of the journal. I am planning for a January comeback. I think the first or second week of January. We'll see. I'm still planning that out, but I've planned it out where I'll have a mid-season break like I did already, but it'll be fewer episodes than this season. So that way I can have my life, have a work-life balance, work-life hobby balance rather. And so my work balance is actually better than it was earlier this year. So, but I'm also taking advantage of that extra time I lost that I have back now to work on other things. So that's why I'm I better take it easy for a little bit. So yeah, I think episode 12 will be a good stopping point. I think next season will be at least 8 episodes between the between the sets of episodes in the second season. I'll take a month off, or at least skip a week or whatever. I think that'll be good, a good balance. But I'll still work on the monthly episodes as well, although I might make them every other month at some point. But I will say that in December there won't be any episodes at all. So of course, Centaku Media Journal will be on hiatus in December. It'll be nothing. So no episodes until January. Worst case scenario, but it will also give me time to work on new episode topics. And I also talked to my friend who I went to Korea with, we accompanied each other to Korea. Her name is MC Panda. And we had some ideas for some topics to talk about, but it will be a while before they come to light because I got to think about how to talk about them. But I'm not going to spoil it right now, but just be sure to listen out for those when they come out. And also, I still have to work on that episode where I had a poll up a few months back asking was a good anime series that I need to catch up on. So Code Geass was one of the shows that was selected, so I need to watch that very soon. I guess I'll be the one of the episodes that I will come back with in January, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it I have for the intro right now. I'm going to go ahead and get into this episode. But first, for those that are just tuning in, thank you. And be sure to follow the podcast on Amazon, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, or any other podcast this happens to show up on. And also be sure to check out centakumedia.com. And of course, I'll be repeating that as we go on into the episode. But of course, this is an extension of everything that I have going on with Centaku Media. But before we get into it, of course, there will be a word for our sponsors, so be sure to check them out, and I will see you on the other side. Have you always wanted to start your own podcast but don't know where to start? Don't have the right equipment? Don't have a place to host your new podcast? If this is you, then you probably haven't heard of Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how Anchor works. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome back to episode 10 of the Centaku Media podcast. And we are about to get into some anime news before we go into gaming and entertainment. And also, we have some offbeats for this episode. So, let's see what else is interesting happening outside of the geek realm. Well, it's still within the geek realm, but it's just something that doesn't really fit into the main categories of what I talk about. And some of these are actually a little bit old news, but it will be new for those that are just listening, especially if you're been out of the loop. And also it's something I wanted to talk about because I thought it was interesting that I finally get to partake into this particular news story. But anyway, so for those that if you remember, if you are just listening, you probably haven't heard the previous episodes of the journal, or if you've heard about the news itself already, Taita Kubo, who's the creator of Bleach, he is worked on a one-shot manga called Burn the Witch. And also, earlier in the year, there was an announcement that the Bleach anime was coming back that covers the final arc of the manga. But in the meantime, we have the anime adaptation of this one-shot called Burn the Witch, which will be on Crunchyroll on October 1st at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's, of course, in the evening. So, the company Crunchyroll began streaming an English subtitled version of the second trailer, and it also previews NIL's or NIL, their theme song "Blowing." To describe the anime, historically 72% of all the deaths in London are related to dragons, fantastical beings invisible to the majority of the people. While unknown to most, some people have been standing up to these dragons. Only inhabitants of Reverse London who live in a hidden reverse side of London can see the dragons. Even then, only a selected few, become qualified enough as witches or witches to make direct contact with them. The protagonists of the story are witch duo Noel Nelhasi and Nini Spenko. They are protection agents of Wingbind, or WB, an organization for dragon conservation and management. I won't say conversations. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure it's part of a job at some point, but I mean, that's actually a part of that in Final Fantasy 14. But anyway, trying to stay on the subject, their mission is to protect and manage the dragons within London on behalf of the people. The anime will have event screenings for 2 weeks that will open in Japan on October 2nd. Theaters screening the anime will also sell a limited edition Blu-ray disc starting on October 2nd. The anime will also stream on Amazon Prime and Hikari TV in Japan. The anime will be reorganized into 3 episodes for the streaming version. So there you go. If you're itching for more Taita Kubo, then it's something to look forward to. Of course, the manga is already out on the Viz Media app for those that are interested. I think it's for free but I don't know if since it's been out for a little bit, for a while. If it's been out for a while and there's multiple chapters of it, it might be behind a paywall, but there is an option to read it. Oh, actually, here it says that the serialized version of the manga had 4 total chapters and debuted on August 24th. So yeah, Fizz is publishing the manga in English and published the original one-shot manga. But it will also get a season 2 sequel, so if you did enjoy it, so there you got some more on the way. So I haven't been able to check it out myself, but I might check out the anime since I have more patience for the anime than I do reading, sadly. Like, I used to read manga all the time, I just don't have the patience for it anymore, unless it's like only it's like series. So I know Dragon Ball Super is an exception, because I do read, I am caught up on Dragon Ball Super, so I read the latest chapter as soon as it comes out. I know there's like some I'm looking at my bookcase right now at some of the manga that I haven't read yet, so I'm like, I need to catch up on these, but I need to basically create a habit of like setting aside a day, at a time, just to try to catch up and stuff. But I know everything's moving digital, so I think it would be convenient if it's like digital size, but I don't know. It all depends on what I have going on, so I gotta take care of it. But yeah, anime is basically the best because you get to see what's happening, you get to hear what's happening, and it's just it's entertaining. And of course, I did grow up watching anime, so I'm more of an anime person. But if I have to find out what happens, I'll read a manga. Actually, I need to do that with Dr. Stone. But anyway, moving on. I always do this. I always go off topic, but of course, that's the point of the Centaku Media Journal, is that I'll talk about anime news and then just basically plot out my thoughts of what I think about it. So that's the point of it, right? So I hope you enjoy that format. Anyway, speaking of returning series, or rather, well, not really a returning series. Burning Witch was basically this one shot that takes place in the universe of Bleach. So the next news story is the addition of new anime titles in the Funimation anime library, and that is Inuyasha. Yes, Inuyasha, that one show that just would not die. Like, I think Bleach wouldn't die, but I mean, it did end, right? It did have an ending to it. And One Piece is actually holding that title right now, is that one anime that won't die. But I think One Piece is ending eventually, because there's like an end in sight. But anyway, Inuyasha, and I guess the first 4 films of the show has been added to Funimation's catalog. So they're streaming the first 54 episodes of the anime and the 4 films called Affections Touching Across Time, The Castle Beyond the Looking Glass, Source of an Honorable Ruler, and Fire on the Mystic Island. They started streaming it on September 29th, and the stream will be in Japanese with English subtitles and the English dubs. So, yeah, if you haven't watched Inuyasha before, then you have an opportunity to do so through legal means. I actually was previously on Netflix as part of this instant watch library, and of course it was on Toonami, the original Toonami before, up until 2014, and it aired a sequel in 2014 and 2015. So yeah, it's been around quite a bit, and actually it's on HBO Max too, I should add. So yeah, and also there's the sequel. Well, not really a sequel, a spin-off called Yashahime, Princess Half Demon, or Hanyo no Yashahime. It will be on Japan's YTV and NTV on October 3rd, and it will also be on Crunchyroll, Funimation, and Hulu on the same day. So, also it's coming to Latin American territory. So yeah, you got a lot of options there for those that are missing or want to know more about Inuyasha. So there you go. So moving on. So speaking of streaming edition, so this is a story I wanted to talk about. So this is like the one anime series that I've held out on, and it's kind of for weird reasons. So, back in August, High Dive added this movie called Wicked City to their streaming library. And the reason I say it's like kind of weird is because I was like told about it, but apparently I wasn't allowed to see it, and this is when I was younger. So my a family member. He told me about a couple of anime movies that he's watched. This was like before I even like knew what anime was fully about. And of course, at the time, he was excited about Akira, and Wicked City was also one of them. And Ninja Scroll. Actually, Ninja Scroll, I actually showed that to him, so he actually enjoyed Ninja Scroll. So yeah, my brother, in particular, he dabbles in like some of the anime movies. So he likes some of the Studio Ghibli movies, like Princess Mononoke and what's that other one? Spirited Away. Yeah, Spirited Away. So he enjoyed those movies, but Wicked City in particular, he told me about it, and I kept asking about like when can we see that, and he was like, maybe some other day. He didn't have the heart to tell me that it's not for kids. So, um, I want to explain what the story is about for those that don't know what it is. So, beyond the boundaries of our ordinary existence lies a dark and dreadful parallel world where demons dwell and humans dare not tread. For centuries, peace has existed between our world and theirs. To preserve that fragile balance and to ensure the survival of humankind, a new deal must be brokered, but dark and powerful forces lust to destroy the accord. When the militant group rises from the shadows, two elite agents are mobilized to counter the destructive forces and preserve the balance of our universe. So I guess that's like a very vague description of the story, but apparently it's like more to that. So I uh I think it was like on my anime list or something, um or Amazon, I forget what it was, but I read the reviews on it, and basically it's just like really has like really dark adult themes to it. So that's why I was like depraved with that opportunity, or rather denied that opportunity, rather. Dictionary, and then to get a dictionary. So yeah, Akira, out of the two that he told me about, Akira was the only one I was exposed to, even though Akira's kind of still messed up in some way, especially now considering that we're basically living in an Akira universe, minus the wasteland. I guess a world. What do you call it? A world of ruin. Basically left that from Final Fantasy 15. So yeah, and Akira, this their world is in ruins, but we are far from that, thank goodness. But like, seriously. But anyway, yes, Wicked City is kind of messed up. I want to say maybe kind of as messed up as Ninja Scroll, from what I've heard. So what's another anime series? Apparently, there's another anime series that was told to be had adult themes to it, but it wasn't really bad as they made it out to be. Oh yeah, Perfect Blue. So yeah, Perfect Blue is like one of my Satoshi Kon movies. Rest his soul. And there's a scene, and I'm not going to describe it for the podcast. It's actually kind of more of a trigger warning, but just a heads up. But there was a scene in there that would make it a little I will raise some eyebrows, so I will just put it out there that yeah, Perfect Blue has that element to it, and plus it's this Satoshi Kon. So yeah, of course you're gonna expect that. So yes. Anyway, just a little bit more about Wicked City. So it's actually been re-released on Blu-ray on September 29th from Discotek, and they also released it on DVD back in 2016. Yoshiaki Kawairi of Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust, and Ninja Scroll, which is what I was just talking about. He directed the film at Madhouse in 1987, and the film is an adaptation of Hideyuki Kikuchi's Vampire Hunter D a Vampire Hunter D fame novel series of the same name. And Seven Seas Entertainment released the 3-volume novels in English in 2009 and 2010. And of course, it was originally released under Urban Vision on VHS in 1999 and on DVD in 2000s. So, it's also a Hong Kong live action movie that was released in 1992. Interesting. The next event to join the list of events going digital is Jump Festa. So, the Jump Festa 2021 event will be online for December 19th and the 20th. Shueisha usually hosts the event in Tokyo each year, and the event features booths, game demos, and stage presentation of popular Shueisha franchises. And the event usually reveals news about manga, anime, stage plays, and video games. But see what? No, there's also a another Jump special anime festa event each fall, and of course, Shueisha did not hold the event last year, but will hold the event this year as a live stream event on October 11th. The event usually screens anime specials, and this year the event will feature talk shows with the voice actors featured in the Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, and Jujutsu Kaisen anime, as well as a new video for Dr. Stone's Stone Wars, upcoming second season of Dr. Stone. The event will additionally screen an anime video based on Iko Mikawa Bokyaku Battery baseball manga. So, yay, so another event to look forward to in December. So, like, we're already done with a lot of gaming events for the year. So, Jump Fest is like the last one before the end of the year. I mean, it's not a gaming event, it's an anime event, but that's like since it's like a week before Christmas and it's the last one to look forward to. So, looking forward to what they have to offer for this year. And speaking of gaming, so we're going to go on to our gaming news. The next piece of news is actually sad considering that it doesn't feel like it's been that long since we had our hands on the Nintendo 3DS handheld. But sadly, Nintendo is parting ways with the handheld console. So, recently Nintendo announced that it has ended production on the 3DS series of consoles, including the new Nintendo 3DS LL or XL and the new Nintendo 2DS LL, XL, and the 2DS. Nintendo told GameIndustry.biz website that it has no plans. It has no plans to end any existing online services for the 3DS family of systems, and that online play for the eShop will continue to be available. The 3DS launched in February 2011. The Nintendo 3DS XL variant launched in 2012, and the 2DS variant launched in 2013 or 2016 in Japan. The new Nintendo 3DS, along with this XL variant, launched in 2014 in Japan and 2015 in North America, and the 2DS XL variant then launched in 2017 of July 2017 rather. So, and it's also sad considering that when the Switch was launched, Nintendo said they had no plans to, well, basically they intended on releasing more games for the 3DS, and they have, but it's been like maybe like at least 2 or 3 a year since the release of the Switch. So that's actually, a little sad. But then again, like, I guess technically the Switch is the new handheld system because they do have a handheld version of the Switch, but, traditionally the Switch is designed to be both a home console and a handheld. So that's the future of Nintendo right now is the Switch. So, like, the Switch sales, of course, with the events of this year, the Switch has actually been sold out in a lot of countries. Like, there's sporadic stock wherever you look. So, I think now would be a good time to get a Switch because I think they're in stock now. But otherwise, you're gonna probably be in for a long wait, especially since we're near the Christmas holiday shopping season, and a lot of people are moving their sales online since it's just not safe to do it in stores like a lot of people do anyway. So, yeah, if you're interested in the Switch, now's a good time to look into it. But that will be the future for Nintendo for now. So, like, it's sad, but I understand, totally understand. So, I really like the Switch, and I also make it a point to try to get some games where I can play it like in my bed without having to look at the TV. So, like, it's sweet. So, that's why another reason why I ended up buying Overwatch for the Switch. And even though, like, I actually haven't played Overwatch in several months, but yeah, I made a point to buy Overwatch on the Switch, and actually, like, I mastered playing it on the handheld mode compared to what I'm used to playing on the TV. But anyway, yeah. So, yes, farewell to the Nintendo 3DS. And speaking of Switch, or rather indirect Switch discussion, so there's a game that was released, I think just digitally for the Switch, and it's the remake of Katamari Damacy. So, the remastered version of that game is called Katamari Reroll, or Katamari Damacy Reroll, or also Katamari Damacy Encore in Japan, is coming out for the PS4 and Xbox One on November 20th. And of course, it was launched on the Switch and PC in December 2018. And for those that are unfamiliar with the series of games, to describe this game, the king of all cosmos has knocked out all the stars in the sky after a particularly rambunctious night of fun. Realizing his mistake, the king has tasked his young son, the prince, to go to Earth and roll up as many things as possible to recreate the missing celestial bodies. Paper clips, books, cars, buildings, mountains, and continents. Nothing is too big or too small for the prince and his adhesive Katamari ball. Katamari Damacy Reroll will feature remastered graphics and cutscenes as well as new motion controls optimized for the Nintendo Switch. Using the left and right Joy-Con controllers while the Nintendo Switch is in TV mode or tabletop mode, players can move the prince around with ease by simply turning their wrists. So, the original was released in 2004 for the PS2, and of course there have been numerous sequels released in North America and Japan for the PS2, PS3, portable, or PSP rather, PlayStation Vita or Vita. Anyone remember that? And then the Xbox 360 and other mobile devices. There was a Katamari game I played on the iOS, on the iPod Touch, I think, and it was actually not bad. But of course, this is not the same. I don't even have the patience for mobile gaming, but that was like one of the few games I did play for quite a bit. And I do have Katamari Reroll too. Actually, I bought it on sale not too long ago. I think Bandai had a Golden Week sale or something like that. So I ended up getting it. So like I said, I miss playing this game because I do have the original PS2 version and the PSP version. So it is a lot of fun. It's just like one of those games that's a kill time with. You just roll things up and see how big you can get it to, finish the game. So it's like really a lot of fun. So I recommend buying it if you have a Switch or PC. Of course, a lot of y'all have PC, so I recommend getting it. Or you could just wait and get it on PS4, which is actually surprising that they haven't released it on the PS4, considering it was originally released for the PlayStation 2. But oh well. Anyway, so yes, looking forward to that. Well, everyone that has any of those two systems, be sure to look forward to that. And also, this is another story. Actually, I totally forgot about it. When I recorded my monthly, my September episode covering the Tokyo Game Show, but there's a Evangelion esports team, and they made their debut at the Tokyo Game Show 2020, and I totally forgot to look up any information for it, but this is the announcement post that was posted on Anime News Network. So there's so the official Evangelion official website announced that it has formed a professional esports team, which will debut at the Tokyo Game Show online event. According to the press release, the initiative marks the first time an anime brand has collaborated with a professional gaming team. More details about the team's name, logo, and participating players will be announced via the exhibitors page on September 23rd. The team plans to hold exhibition matches with famous esports teams in Japan and hold live streams on its official YouTube account, which will be unveiled at a later date. The team was announced in association with Runa Entertainment, which organized the Evangelion car racing team in 2010, and esports management company National Gaming Management. It will serve as ambassadors for the Evangelion E-Project brand, which promotes Evangelion character goods through esports. The brand was announced in April and was created by character goods management company Jammy with the permission of the Evangelion licensure company Groundworks. So that's actually pretty cool that they're incorporating Evangelion with gaming. But you know what else would work other than just Evangelion? And of course, I'm being biased. And for those that know me very well, you know what I'm going to talk about. And that's Gundam. So I know Gundam will be a good tie-in for that. I mean, there are a ton of Gundam games. Like, how many Evangelion games are there? Like, barely like one. I think there was at least one released during the PlayStation era, I believe. Maybe the Saturn too. But there are like at least a good amount of Gundam games that would qualify as an esports thing. But also, what's weird is that Japan doesn't really partake into a lot of esports. So that's actually kind of weird. So, whenever you think of esports, you think of Korea. So Korea's the esports powerhouse along with China. Yeah, but Japan, they just don't really see the point in it. So it's kind of like the US. Although the US is kind of a mixed bag because you have the older generation that doesn't see the point in playing video games for the living, and then you have the people that actually, grind through it to make it a living. So like, I'm a Twitch streamer, so I'm in with that crowd that actually tries, to at least try to, get some, attention just having a channel. But so yeah, in the US it's kind of a mixed bag. But in Japan, I think they just have better things to do. From what I've heard, this was I think it was an article on Kotaku a long time ago about that. So I had to find that. I'm sure there's like a documentary about it too on YouTube. But yeah, so yeah, South Korea in particular, they making an effort to make esports the way of life there, because it started with StarCraft, and then pretty much every Blizzard title that's been released, which is an American company, and they take it and live and breathe it. So yeah, but just for Evangelion, it's just interesting. But like I said, there should be a Gundam esports team too. Just saying, because there are actually I think Dynasty Warriors Gundam might be a good candidate, but then again, they don't make Dynasty Warriors Gundam anymore. Of course, there's the Gundam Breaker series, and then the Maxi Boost series, versus Gundam. I think Gundam versus Gundam Extreme or whatever it's called. That's like probably a good game that they would use for that concept. But I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they have Dragon Ball FighterZ. That's pretty much a huge title in the esports scene right now. So like, come on, you gotta get on, Bandai. I mean, you got Dragon Ball, so you gotta do something with Gundam. Anyway, that's just me. I know for those that are into Evangelion, I'm sure they could talk for days about this too. But I've only thing of Evangelion I've seen is the first two movies that were released, and then we still haven't gotten that third one for some reason, due to some kind of legal issue, I think. But anyway, I've rambled on for far too long, so we're done with the gaming news. Actually, I probably should have talked about Evangelion first, but it's my show. I'll run it. I'll run it this way. But anyway, on to entertainment news. I don't have much for entertainment news this time around, and this one it's about Lee Min-ho. So Lee Min-ho, he's a popular Korean actor. He not too long ago finished his military service, but yeah, he's been making his rounds in appearing in some K-drama projects and all that stuff. But this post in particular, netizens were praising his ability to wear a mask at all times. So like, if you are up on the fence about wearing a mask, let's take some advice from Lee Min Ho. So, it's on Korea Boo, and the way they format their posts is kind of like you have to scroll through just to see like all the pictures. Basically, it's a picture-oriented post. But what Lee Min Ho is doing, like, he wears this mask like all day, every day. And of course, I guess with the exception of being indoors, unless he has other people in his residence. But in one picture in particular, he is out and about, and he gets a beer. And instead of pulling your mask down under your chin, he actually pulls it up to his nose, so his mouth is only visible, but his nose is covered. So that's really the correct way to wear a mask, because you've seen a lot of people when they wear a mask, they wear it under their nose, which is kind of annoying. Like, not only that's dangerous, like, what's the point of wearing a mask, but it's just like annoying because you still breathing in things, not just a virus, but just anything else. So yes, he wears it, pretty much from under his eyes all the way up to his chin. So yeah, he's really serious about flattening the curve. So take his advice and be like Lee Min Ho. He's a good role model. So the next news story is a new K-pop documentary on Netflix, but this one is about Blackpink, and it's called Light Up the Sky, which will be released on October 14th. And Netflix announced on their Twitter account last month that an all-access documentary about one of the world's most popular groups premieres in your area on October 14th. And they also, I think not too long ago, they released a trailer for it. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. To describe this documentary covers the past 4 years of Blackpink's journey from being trainees to global stars. They will also reveal never before seen footage from the past 4 years, as well as dorm life and backstage behind the scenes. In addition, they will also show the album recording process for all their hit songs, as well as a genuine interview of the four members and how they work together to create a good synergy. This documentary is directed by Caroline Sue, who is known for the cooking documentary series Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. Blackpink commented, "We're excited to be able to share our story to our blinks all over the world through this Netflix documentary. We hope that this documentary will bring happiness to the viewers." And Netflix's vice president stated, "We are truly lucky to be able to work with the hottest girl group in the world right now." And of course, Blackpink will be releasing their first full studio album, The Album, on October 2nd. So Stan Blink Stan. So I'm looking forward to all of this. So that's all for entertainment news. And so usually that will mark the end of this episode of the podcast, but I do have some offbeat news to talk about before we end it. So this one is technically should be an anime news story, but it's a good place to start our offbeats. So there is a life-size Gundam. So I know like it's been around for at least several years now, but there's now one that actually moves. So this is like a big story for the last couple of weeks, and it was in Yokohama, Japan. Um, they were thrilled to get their first glimpse of the real life or life-size RX-78 Gundam from the original Gundam series, standing in the city's Bayside district, roughly 45 minutes south of Tokyo. But even that was just a precursor to the real excitement. Twitter user Nansei2 were in the area during a recent test and recorded this amazing video of the mobile suit in motion. So this article is linked to Sora News 24, and they do have the embeds of the video, and it's like really amazing, like how long until we can actually get like an actual Gundam we can pilot and fly and stuff. Like, how cool would that be? The movement is slow. Of course, being careful is a good thing. We're moving around a 25 metric ton or 55,500 pound robot. The Gundam's movement is impressively smooth, giving it a proper feel of a high tech anime mech, not a piece of factory equipment. Other cool things is that the mobile suit is capable of moving its arms and fingers and turning its head and taking steps. It's not currently known how quickly the robot will move. If the robot will move more quickly in its finalized operation, but the 5 times speed edit in the tweet in the post and the 10 times one below from Twitter user LuckyStar3 give an idea of a more quickly moving version would look like. The Gundam factory in Yokohama is a complex that houses the moving Gundam, was previously scheduled to open to the public in October, but of course, it's been delayed indefinitely. As with awesomeness the mech looks, we have a hunch that the wait will be worth it, according to the article on Sora News 24. So that's really exciting to see an actual moving Gundam. So I know there's been talks about like what happens if we actually have a moving, actual Gundam that we can pilot. Of course, that would be a lot of fun, and of course I say that sarcastically because it's considering with certain people in the political a position of political power, that would be horrible, right? So I'm just gonna move on. Because, like I said, it's just considering how Gundam is, it's already a story about that. We don't need a real life story because we're already living in like Akira land. So, so anyway, moving on. So this story is about a Korean fitness YouTuber, and he owns a chain of gyms in Korea, but due to the pandemic, he's moved to YouTube. Or right, he is already a YouTuber, but I think he basically had some traction on his channel with his impromptu mukbang sessions. So mukbang, for those that don't know, is the act of eating in front of a camera or streaming. So you either record and you eat a huge amount of food, or you stream it. And of course, this is huge in Korea, which is called mukbang, which is I think food room. I think bang means room, room in Korea, but I forget what it means. But basically, yeah, that's the idea of you just eat in front of people, and it's a weird phenomenon going on. It's not just in Korea, but it's also in the U.S. So like a lot of people making money for it, make money off of eating expensive, delicious food. But this guy, though, he's a fitness YouTuber. He owns a chain of gyms, so this was like very interesting for him. So he goes by the name of Moonsoki, and his channel name is Fitifully, which is Fitvele. And of course, due to COVID-19, he has to close a lot of his gyms down. And to stay positive, he turned to YouTube to stay connected with his subscribers. And apparently, after searching for refreshing content to feature on his channel, he stumbled across the idea of trying calorie bomb menus that he normally wouldn't. And his first two live streams titled "I'm going to eat ramyeon because I'm struggling over COVID-19, and another week of COVID-19 got me eating again." So began his downfall from eating fried chicken and cheese balls to braised jokbal with glass noodles, and even the guiltiest of pleasures of sliced macarons and Oreo cakes. And he couldn't hold back his shock and awe at these flavors. Munsoki's side mukbang gig may have started off humble, but soon enough, thanks to his adorably hilarious and 200% relatable reactions, his channel saw a great spike in views, ultimately collecting 420,000 subscribers. And he calls his subscribers sunbenims, having known these glorious dishes way before he did. Moonsuki now boasts a brand new nickname of YouTuber Cheeseball and Coach Corrupted. But apparently his gyms have reopened, I guess, with under limited operations, so he will have to basically go back, go back on a diet just to, to chase off these cravings for all the food that he ate during his time off. So that's an interesting story to check out. So be sure to check the show notes for the link. And this last story I have is actually kind of hits close to home. So I guess it's kind of a not really sad story, but it's kind of like an awareness kind of story. This is in Japan, and it's about a woman who is suing she's suing TV Tokyo for limited bathroom breaks. And in Japan, apparently they consider that an injury. So I'm going to explain. This is from Sora News 24. So if you work in the entertainment and mass media sphere, you probably need to be prepared for a grueling work schedule, since it's often not a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday kind of job. That goes double if you're working in that industry in Japan, where a lot of companies, it's not a question of whether you do overtime, but how much. But even by those standards, the workload given to one employee at TV Tokyo Centaku, a production company and subsidiary of broadcaster TV Tokyo, sounds wildly excessive. Rather. The employee, a 51-year-old woman, previously worked solely as a producer for the company. Following disagreement with her boss, though, she says that in 2017 she was transferred to the General Affairs Division. One could argue that that's an unfair demotion, but where things get really unfair is how she claims that even after the transfer, she was still required to handle many of her previous positions' assignments, usually after already putting in a full day of her new General Affairs role. At one point, she says she worked for 48 days in a row. And if that was unreasonable enough, she said her supervisor imposed various conduct regulations only on her, such as limiting the amount of time she was allowed to get up and go to the bathroom. The woman says the stress and strain eventually caused her to develop adjustment disorder, a psychological condition that can lead to more severe mental conditions. After hearing her case, the Mita Labor Standards Office in Tokyo's Minato Ward certified that her condition qualified as a workplace psychological injury. Her lawyer has now announced that she is suing TV Tokyo Seisaku for unpaid overtime wages and is also considering additional damages as compensation for workplace harassment in the form of bathroom limit and other awarded rules. And of course, TV Tokyo Seisaku said that they disagree with the woman's claims and the interpretation of the situation, but has declined to comment on the specifics of the lawsuit. So now, I don't know what her backstory is, but the fact that you're limited to how many times you can go to the bathroom, that's really insane, because you can't, if you, considering how she's working, you're gonna have to, at some point use the bathroom more than what you can. So that's really ridiculous, and I'm kind of glad that they certified this as an injury. And I mean, technically, when you work in a toxic work environment, you are technically injured, but people are going to argue that, oh, you're not injured because you don't have any bruises on you. That's really dumb logic. I guess it depends on where you are too. And I guess in Japan, they actually recognize that as a legitimate, harm, some kind of bodily harm in one way or another. And so, the reason why I said this was relatable to me, so I do have a little bit of a brief story, and I actually have a post about this on the blog, which you could check out in the show notes. about 5 years ago, I used to work in retail. So this was during the period of when I stopped writing on Centaku Media, and then I had a situation in my family where a parent died, and I had to work a job. I was already in a job, but my contract was up, and then pretty much throughout that 5 month period since I was in that job, I had to take care of the family member, and then I had to find another job, and it wasn't until like a month before the death that I started this job. So I started a job when I was like 2 weeks shy of being at this job for a year, and it was at actually a big box store too. Well, not really a big box store, but it was a rival of one of the big box stores. I'm not even gonna like hint at it or what it is. It's not even what you think it is. Just to give you an idea, but but yeah, like I said, you can check out the article just exactly to see exactly who I'm talking about. But anyway, just try to make a long story short. So I was there for a year. I will wake up 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning to load the store, stock the store, and um, it was a different environment. Some of the people actually I didn't like working with, and some of them didn't like me for unknown reasons, because that's why I didn't like them. And then of course there were a whole bunch of older people, so they had this weird, weird perspective on younger people. So, but they grew to like me over this time period, but it was the management I have issues with. So one of the managers, he was my direct boss, and he told me, he showed me how to do this and how to do that, but down the line he would criticize my every move. Like if I'm moving like a pace too slow, he would criticize me, say I'm working too slow. You gotta work faster. And then he would show me something that I already knew how to do, like I'm an idiot. And then at one point he made me cry. Yeah, so this is where where it's getting fun, and of course I say that sarcastically. So yeah, he made me cry. He didn't know he made me cry, but I like, went into the bathroom and cried for like a few minutes and tried to like suppress it as best as I could. And then it got to the point like it was a coworker I talked to. She worked there for like at least almost 20 years, which is kind of surprising. It's just lasted that long, but has this laid back personality, so she basically was stronger than I was. Um, she told me to try not to take it too seriously because she's seen these managers come and go, so like he doesn't even remember the names of like the first few managers she worked with. But I try to do that. Like I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. But there was one day where it was like close to the Christmas season, and I was given more work, and then I panicked because I had more than what I could handle. And then he said, "I'm trying to figure out the order of chaos here." But thankfully, I had someone I had someone cover my back, and they said that wasn't right. You did, what you did, and blah blah blah. And at one point, I even went to HR and talked about the situation. And in turn, my boss's boss, he was actually, I thought he was nice, but apparently he was what you would call a snake in the grass. So he turned against me. Apparently, my boss threw me under the bus because of some of the things I had to say. And then he said, "Oh, he told me about your productivity. Don't give me any excuses." And then and at one point I was set aside to a certain part of the store to work by myself, and I had like less than 2 hours to work when I had enough workload for two people instead of one, and I was pressured on doing that too. As well, rather. Sorry, weird inflection. So I asked his boss's boss that was on duty at the time, and I asked him how many cases do I have, so I can figure out exactly what I needed to do. So that much I knew about. Like if I at least get an idea of how many there is, like I can like set like five aside at a time and then get another set done. Kind of work it in clusters, right? Because I do that now at my current job and I get praised for it. But the situation, apparently he told me just get the job done by 8. That was the only answer I got from him. And yeah, so a lot of things went downhill from there, and then he even told me that I'm not paying you to do something you weren't trained to do. So that's why I said, you know what, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. So I put in my 2 weeks notice. He didn't know about it until like the day of, and you don't know how much weight was off my shoulders when I left that job. And I should have said something like too corporate about it at the time, which I actually did like a few years later, and apparently he had left um like a few months later after that. But I don't know if it was because of that. I'm sure it was because they probably said something was up about the store. But yeah, so basically the moral of the story is that if something's wrong, say something. Like, you can go too corporate about it, and also be sure to like keep a note of the times and the day of the situation that happened, so that way, basically you're doing your homework, and that way you're telling them, oh yeah, this actually happened, because I'm giving you the actual time that it happened. So chances are they'll go back to the cameras and say, oh yeah, this happened. So I'm sorry you had to hear that, but I hope this gives you some inspiration. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope this will inspire you to stand up for yourself in case anything like this happens. And I know like I said, with the year way it is, it's going to get stressful. So for those that enjoy this podcast, be sure to check out centakumedia.com for new articles, and also be sure to follow Centaku Media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as Centaku Media, as well as Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Centaku Media, and also on YouTube, Centaku Chan. Also on YouTube, there's a 13-part Shenmue 1 playthrough that was streamed on Twitch previously. So if you missed it, you get to check it out again permanently, and you also get to check out what the story is about. And be sure to check out my live streams, and I'll be returning on October 8th at 9 o'clock, maybe a little earlier if I decide to play something different before Shenmue 2. And also my first stream of Final Fantasy X, which will be on October 9th at 3 p.m. And I will be streaming Shenmue at 9 p.m. that day as well. So thank you again, and until next time, so long.